Boys and girls, good morning, good morning. Hope everybody is well. Hope everybody is refreshed. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I had, right. I'm a little bit hungover. I think you can probably tell why. I was half planning on not streaming today, but I was like, come on, be a man. Be a man. Be a man. Sit indoors and play video games. Yes, what an interesting weekend. Oh my god. Oh my god. It didn't come home. But I don't think any of us really expected it to come home. Not against Spain, because they were outrageous on another level. Significantly better than us. We were scrapping and fighting for the full 90 minutes to have any chance whatsoever. Gave ourselves a glimmer of hope. And then had it snatched away again. So it was all good. But for those not football fans, I guess you had some other interesting stuff going on in world politics. An attempted assassination. Every good weekend starts with an attempted assassination. Clearly. What an absolute shit show that was. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Welcome in, Persephone. Good morning, good morning. Team NA, Team America, more precisely. What is with your president, dear Lord? But anyway, we're going to play some, I'm going to take it very chill today. We're going to level this dude up a little bit more. He's level 77. I've been sort of taking the Lawmaster approach with this character. Not deliberately zerging max level, but just going through each zone, completing everything as I come across it. It's really interesting to see on only my second character on the account, so I've only got the 5% XP increase. To be fair, a little bit of rested XP definitely helps with this. But yeah, it's surprising to see that literally you're going to step into Hallowfall, step into the third zone if you do the Lawmaster approach, and you'll ding 80. Which is a little bit wild. Saw they changed NPC work orders to patron orders. Good job, Blizzard, changing things last minute again. Yeah, patron orders, they clearly want to distract the fact away from the fact that they're not actually real. They're not actually real. They're CGI. They're AI orders. And they're not even that very smart AI orders either, which is a bit of a shame. I think they'll do their job though. This is kind of the point with them. They'll do their job. They tick a box. They tick a box in an area where there was a lot of discomfort and dissatisfaction. Can you not collect these now? Oh, you collect them, but you don't. Oh, I gained 1 resonance crystal. They've changed the glowy balls to resonance crystals. Nice.
How are you? Be good.
Unless we're supposed to get barely any at all. Well, there's definitely a few question marks in my mind about how the system's going to work in its entirety. Enchanting basically doesn't have any patron work orders, and if it does, it's these silly glimmer things, which feels like a very crowbarred in solution, so that enchanters have to do some work orders, and if they want the catch-up system to work, then they're going to have to spec into unlocking those glimmers, which is sure, okay. It's I always had my concerns that if they were going to play the random card, drop the RNG card on these work orders, and try and make it, you know, come up with an excuse to why they weren't making a smart system for these orders, that it was always going to feel a bit odd for a few professions, and it's clearly starting to look that way. Yeah, the oils, and well, crests, obviously. Crests, for anybody that was paying attention on Friday, we spent a bit of time looking at the enchanting profession generally. I was quickly coming to the conclusion that quality 1 and quality 2 mats were just going to stack up and up and up and up and up And it wasn't until after the stream I realised, oh, idiot, crests. Crests don't have quality, but they consume a huge amount of materials. So that becomes your sink for low-level shit. Which kind of makes the disenchanting feel less gross. But only less gross, because disenchanting feels like they've taken a page out of Dragonflight's book. And I'm sort of quizzing to why they would choose to do that when we are moving away from the Dragonflight annoyances. But, you know. Release candidate, though? Well, for 11.0, yeah. For 11.0, it's good that we got that now. But the pre-patch is kind of like dialed in, ready. But you also kind of assume that that means that the systemized stuff is also in place. So I'm not sure what conclusion to draw from that, if I'm honest. Bug fixes, and that's about it from this point, you would assume. But I guess we'll find out. Can pet do pet things? Wow, I clearly cannot even think straight this morning. I can't even press buttons in order. I do think it means that we're close enough to the finish line with things like professions that I'm kind of happy to start doing like proper guides for it now. Most of the stuff I've been doing so far has been very sort of like precursor, this is beta, shit's probably going to change, what do you think about this? But now that we're getting some, now that we are much closer to the finish line, I feel, might be time to start putting in a shift. Kinda sure Dragonflight had 7 release candidates before the actual thing though. Well, yeah, this is it. They will... It still doesn't mean they won't change things, so... Thoughts on blacksmithing? It's been a couple of weeks since I've really looked at blacksmithing in any detail. It's also another one that was on my list of being kind of busted. And so I deliberately wasn't paying too much attention to it, but in the next week or two it will get a highlight at some point. I'll go back and look at blacksmithing. Doesn't really have much in terms of like new stuff. You have the cooldown, like they've copy pasted on a couple of professions with blacksmithing. There's a cooldown. What do they call it? Something forge. You basically craft an item that gives you a 30-minute buff. Everforge, that's the one, yeah. The Everforge system is a copy-paste from a couple of the other professions. They've tried to replicate it other places as well. So it's not really unique in its... it's certainly not something that's exciting enough for you to want to spec into it, though. It's kind of a... It's an end game... It's a profession end game min-max kind of tool. I don't think you're going to care about it that heavily at the beginning of the expansion, at least not from early impressions. You'll still do what you will do first, e.g., you know, spec into actually getting the patterns, getting the, you know, choosing an armor piece to craft and to become good at, then min-maxing what you can do to make that thing as effectively as possible. Part of that will be to probably unlock your ever-burning forge buff and optimize the cooldown on that a little bit, but I wouldn't say it's overly exciting. They haven't changed enough this expansion, I feel. Although the problem is the changes they have made are pretty systematic changes, which are time-consuming changes to make. I'm missing dynamite. I just picked up dynamite. So taking inspiration out, putting ingenuity in, putting concentration in, then tweaking and balancing and adjusting all of the values of that. It doesn't feel like a lot to players. It's just like, oh, you've put a new stat in. But actually, in terms of time it takes to like do all of that, I imagine it's pretty heavy. Which is why a lot of the professions themselves don't really seem to have had too much to them. It's like alchemy has a cool new thaumaturgy system. You know, they're given a buff to a couple of other professions that you might want to try and keep active when crafting. But there's not too many like new things. Weirdly, they seem to have taken more away than they've added. In terms of things like, you know, we no longer craft Dark Moon cards or... where's that dynamite gone? Do I keep picking these up and they disappear? Or am I being blind? Very possible. I have unusable fragments. I don't have unusable dynamites. Hello? Or is it an extra action button when I stand on the thing? No. Okay, well it's just fucked then. Is this the Reclaiming the Waterworks bonus objective anyway? I think it's this quest.
Hello there.
Chris, how are we doing? Welcome in. Good morning, good morning. Let's turn this in and then see if it's maybe in a weird phasing because we're also on a quest nearby. Sometimes a thing.
Great to meet you. Keep your feet on the ground. Watch your back. Off with you. Be good.
What's this bag? Bag. I've also got skinning on this character, so I was kind of hoping that on my travels I'd stumble across a few good areas where I thought skinning would be useful. I do so little gathering personally though. I don't seem to have the Myco Bloom from skinning? I suppose it was a mushroom. Sure. Okay. What did I kill then? I want to kill whatever that was again. It was one of these blobby things. Drifting Spore Bloom. You can skin it to gain Myco Bloom.
Too far away. It's not ready yet.
When are the professions usually locked in? Usually by the 0.1 patch. If it's the honest answer. They tend to never be like truly locked in. Drifting Spore. Myco Bloom again. Okay. We kind of, especially considering we seem to get very, very low quality like changelog or patch notes for professions. We usually have to kind of find stuff out ourselves for the most part. I mean, if profession changes were detailed in anywhere near the detail that class changes were detailed in, we'd have a much easier time. Actually, I rely on MMO Champion pretty heavily these days to track all of this stuff. Because even Wowhead just copy-pastes the patch notes, whereas MMO Champion genuinely does some of the data mining. And oh, there's an unusable dynamite. Is it in my bags now? No. Okay, we still can't loot the unusable dynamites properly, apparently. Yeah, it's tagged as a quest item. Okay. We might need to figure out how we can use that. Gathering professions are weird right now. I was only getting cloth from mining till like Thursday. Well, you can get cloth from mining. The web nodes, the web ore. Oh, it's still far too early. My brain doesn't work. I'm pretty convinced, you know, that most players, non-tailors, are not going to get cloth. I'm thinking that's kind of a game decision. It's hard to categorically prove because it could just very easily be a bug, or it could be that the cloth's not been put on the loot tables properly yet. But at least as it stands right now, unless you have tailoring, you basically don't get cloth. Outside of very odd, limited areas, such as like
sweet profit.
well, miners can get a little bit, as you've just stated. There's also, you know, treasure chests and stuff have the chance to proc random materials from time to time, which is nice. Hey, woo, my man, welcome in. Turning up with a 25. Nice one. Welcome in. Good morning, good morning. How have you been? I am hungover. I woke up this morning and I kind of thought I might have even still been drunk. But we are live anyway. Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and it will have come home. Who knows? Yeah, it's saying I need a reagent for these, even though I've picked them up and they're classed as quest items. That's seriously busting it. Okay, well, we'll just have to skip that one today. IRL kicking your ass a little bit. Been loving some Remix over the last couple of days. Yeah, I had a blast playing Remix. I really did. I had a lot of fun playing Remix. I took quite a sweaty approach with Remix though. I hit it very hard, very fast. And then also put it down very fast. But that was because I knew the very second beta launch that my focus would not be on Remix anymore. But that said, I could really do with leveling a few more characters. I just don't know when I'm going to fit that in. Looking at Remix as a, you know, a second Plunderstorm kind of mini event test thing, I think it's been remarkably successful. I do wonder just how well it's performed in terms of like people. What's the adoption rate on Remix? Did most people give it a go and play it a little bit at least? Obviously, you'll always get some people that are not that interested that will give it a go and then quickly put it down again, but it would be, yeah, kind of intriguing to get some data on it. I'm surprised they didn't do well, maybe they'll do this closer to the end of it. They did, like with Plunderstorm, they gave us that stats. It was just a social media thing, wasn't it? But they gave us those stats on how many kills there would be, the most used Plunderstorm abilities and that sort of stuff. Congrats on second place. Oh, first the worst, second the best. How it goes. Duskweave and Dawnweave were added last week, apparently. How are we theoretically meant to test Duskweave and Dawnweave, though? That's maybe why you can actually level tailoring pretty. Well, I think you can probably max out tailoring on the leveling realms. But getting it's a tough one to fix that. But yeah, trying to find out who drops it and where it drops from and all that sort of stuff. There might be some requirements to just hope that the mob drop loot tables on something like Wowhead are not terrible at the beginning. And you see a few streamers finishing meta achievements. Well, see, this is it, right? It's this is why you don't see that many people actually on the beta, since it's an MMO at its core, which kind of means that anytime you are playing it and you're putting time and effort in, one of the advantages of that is that it's persistent. When there's zero persistence to your characters or their progression on the beta, for obvious reasons, because it's a test platform, players have far less drive to do any of it. Mildly surprised that Dawnweave doesn't come from the alchemy cloth transmute. Duskweave and Dawnweave probably should, you know, that's probably a good point. But what you might have, yeah, you might have the issue with that is that it would be too easy to convert into it. I'm not sure. Sol did a little video on alchemy the other day and it was really well put together. If you haven't watched it, you definitely should. I don't have the link to it to hand, but he touched on thaumaturgy about how the loot tables are pretty fixed for breaking down materials with thaumaturgy. So with a good understanding of it, you can start to not pinpoint materials that you want, but you could get, you know, within reasonable... It's something that you could throw some maths at, and there'll probably be points where you'll be able to buy a certain material, throw it through thaumaturgy, knowing full well that you'll get roughly these materials out the other end. And of course, when you do that to a big enough scale, you start to get some mathematical averages, and you can figure out your price rates and stuff. It's going to be a real sweaty spreadsheet kind of spreadsheet profession, I think. Do we not have like any more quests over here? Have I done like everything up here now? This character seems a bit weird because the campaign seems to have disappeared for this character. Unless I'm being really dumb. I don't have any quests that are tagged as like campaign quests. I don't have the campaign thing at the top here. I think once again this character's balked. Not anywhere on my map. Not anywhere on my map is there an indication that I should go here to do a campaign quest or an important quest. No, not a single indication, go here, do this. Some of the characters I have get completely rolled in between builds. Yeah, I've noticed this a lot more with the War Within, you know. It's always a thing, right? Missing header. What's this? Oh. Yeah, it's almost as if you need to make a brand new character every build. Which is not necessarily too problematic, but it means your first 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours every week is designated towards leveling a new character just so that shit's not broken. Which is kind of why I'm surprised they haven't at any point given us max level. They usually do this at some point. And I'm wondering if it's just something that they historically did very late and I don't remember it very well. Or whether they've just seemingly not done it this time. They usually do
You are acknowledged.
like a max level endgame test phase. Where they just give people pre-made level 80s. for them to go out and test all the world quests and, you know, the zone specific sort of mini game stuff.
You don't look busy enough.
How would you compare the Shadowlands legendary goal making to Dragonflight? I felt it was way less. There has been, and there probably will be, nothing ever quite so broken as Shadowlands legendaries for goal making. Or something that was so easily adopted. I mean, there have been very small things that are, you know, we've had Glyphmus in the past, and we've had, like, well, you know, cross-realm flipping and this sort of stuff. There are lucrative ways to make an awful lot of gold at ridiculous levels, but Shadowlands and their legendaries was on another level. And we won't ever see anything like that again, I don't feel. It was just the perfect storm. I spent 18 months talking about this in great detail. So I'll sound like a broken record to some of you, but like Shadowlands was the perfect storm for people to be able to slowly build into something and then take the rewards from that journey to replicate the same thing again somewhere else. You could, like, the ability to scale your... I spent time making, like, I called it like a proper factory, because that's literally what you were doing. You were expanding your gold making factory. Once you'd got yourself set up on one realm, and you could just pump that one realm, you could then continue to just craft legendaries and then sell legendaries, making sizable amounts of profit each and every time. It didn't matter that you were making like single-digit profit margins, because the value of them fundamentally was so high. You know, 10% profit margin on a 100k item is all of a sudden 10k gold. Under normal circumstances, players have to go out farming for an hour to make 10k gold. And you were doing it crafting and selling one legendary. I met one of my most contentious videos actually on my YouTube channel. Probably the one that got more downvotes than anything else was one where I literally titled it that I made, I think, 5,000 gold an hour every 24 hours a day. Because that's basically how Shadowlands legendaries worked for me. I didn't count gold per hour particularly. I would make no gold half the time, and then I'd craft a bunch of shit. It'd take me a few hours to do it, and then I'd go to sell everything, and it was just like stupid money out of nowhere. Those single-digit margins when you were selling 5 million gold of stuff a day got real very quick. $39 days to go. I mean, yeah, it's get like the hype train's going to start up real fast now. With pre-patch dropping, we'll have a week of pre-patch where you'll have time to fix your warband and get your warbank in order, and presumably I suspect a lot of people will dive straight into doing some transmog farming, because that's a system that's going to be readily available for people to play with in a what, like, week's time. Then the week after, we have the actual pre-patch event kicking off. Oh, you can't fall through that. Whoops. Yeah, it's all going to start happening. Like, it's going to start feeling like it's all happening quite quick now.
I don't have a target.
But this always happens. You feel as if you've got all the time in the world to test, and it's ages away, and then all of a sudden you're like, shit, it's next week. It just happens fast. There's part of me that wonders if I should bother continuing to level this character. Well, I should probably get this dude to 80 just purely for the extra 5% when I inevitably have to go do it again. And I guess this week we should probably wait till Wednesday. Wednesday should probably... Well, the problem is I don't do leveling on a Wednesday because we tend to check out what the new build has brought from profession changes on a Wednesday. I don't know. Not enough hours in the day. Although, I don't have to worry about football anymore. I'm going to be brutally honest, football has definitely got in the way of my productivity the last week or two. Now, without having to stay up late every evening watching football, I might have a little bit more of a schedule. There's a stacking buff when you level alts in the War Within. Where's it gone? Yeah, Warband mentored leveling. Experience gains increased by 5% up to level 80. And this stacks up to 5 times. So by the time you've leveled your first 5 characters, you'll have a flat 25% EXP buff. Any other alt. This hopefully means they can do away a little bit with the kind of XP gaining shenanigans that often turns up during the expansion. Like utilizing the Dream Surge buffs and that sort of stuff always kind of feels a bit weird. I'm wondering what the new power leveling system's gonna be. That's a job for smart people, not for me. But I'm feeling there's gonna be some in. Oh my god, how did I not fall down there? We need a Brackenhide Hollow 2.0. It's bought me the Epic Edition for my birthday. Oh, nice. There we go. So there is an advantage to having kids. I see. Congratulations. And happy birthday for in 3 days' time. Where's this thing I'm meant to be doing? I've missed a bird's nest somewhere. Stack it with war mode for 35%, and some rested experience on top. Yeah, log in even if you don't level your alts, get them logged in when the War Within goes live. That way they'll start accruing rested experience. I can't remember exactly how far rested experience stacks, but it's basically a level and a half to 2 levels for free if you stack it to full. I can't remember the exact numbers though.
Another interruption.
It's definitely worth it though.
Remain vigilant. Stay productive.
Do buying a reagent bag for this. Random Knoll Lotus. How the hell have I got a random Knoll Lotus? God, I wish I knew how I got that on a Skinner. Any known lariat type pattern? There's no... Well, for starters, there's not really any pattern that is seemingly going to be that outrageously rare. From what we can gather right now. Secondly, that's another one of those perfect storm scenarios where you can't really... You're not really going to see it until it happens. It's a perfect storm in terms of the fact it was a super duper mega rare pattern that somehow magically managed to be on everybody's BIS list. And so the demand for it was also outrageous. That kind of system, I'm going to be brutally honest, everybody seems to want something like that or be interested in something like that, but that's not the kind of system you want. Honestly. Trust me when I say that's not the kind of thing you want in the game. But yeah, until the smart players who min-max their characters within an inch of their lives get all of their, get all of their sims done and understand where all of the loot comes from different sources and the likes, we're unlikely to be able to find much of like that. Even if something like that will exist, we're unlikely to find it too early.
Remain vigilant. Raise the machine.
205 crystals seems like such an odd number as well.
I'm out of range.
I mean, I think we'll probably be able to expect most of the class changes, but because obviously you've got to remember that class changes are meant to be implemented in the pre-patch as well. Or major. Obviously, we won't have access to our hero talents yet until the expansion goes live, but like the major class changes should be mostly done by pre-patch as well. Meaning that there'll be a much better understanding of exactly what gear is available, and then we'll start seeing BIS lists start to being juiced. And then, just then, we might start to see if there's anything that's appearing on a lot of these lists. But recipe-wise, at this moment in time, it's even if there's a recipe that drops from a dungeon or drops from a raid or drops from a delve, you only really get an idea about the drop rate on those when thousands of people attempt to get it. It's a data-driven thing. It took the entire player base to realize that the elemental lariat recipe was as rare as it actually is. And when you've got probably 20 people testing the beta at any point, you're just never going to get a good understanding of that, fortunately. This is why my focus at the beginning of the expansion is always to just get as many of the professions leveled up as possible. get them all leveled up, so then if something jumps out, it's all about preparation, really. If something pops out as being like, wow, this is the meta thing to do, then you can hop on it.
I need a target.
Much better to be proactive and be ready to jump on something when it turns up than being reactive. Hence why a lot of people now are doing the smart thing. They're leveling sort of, you know, they're leveling a bunch of alts in Remix. They're getting those characters up and running. That's the smart play. Come here, you. Where are you going? What's going on here? Why won't you pay attention to me anymore? Oh, I think this character's like fully balked, you know. This is my second high-level character on the beta that's just completely scuffed. I've done this quest before. I know this quest isn't meant to work like that. Oh. No, it is user error. Please ignore everything I said. I'm hungover. Leave me alone. Coffee isn't working yet. Why are you nomming? Oi. How many else am I going to level in early access? I'm a little bit undecided what I'm going to do with that one, you know. It partly makes a lot of sense to get at least a few characters leveled up. Because it's the early access is where you have a significant advantage across others. The theory goes, because they're charging $90 for it, the theory goes there is probably going to be less people playing during early access than would be playing at a normal launch. One of the things that often slows you down at launch is that quest items, quest mobs, areas like this end up getting either super laggy or you've got to wait for some, you know, there's too many people knocking about. I know they have hyper spawns and things to resolve these sorts of stuff, but you can often get caught in that clump of people on expansion launch, and that can easily slow you down by a few hours. In theory, at least, early access, there should be less people than normal, meaning that maybe, just maybe, that might be the optimal time to do some leveling, especially since I'll have done it already a couple of times on the beta and have a rough understanding of what's going on. Oh my god, I pulled the entire zone. What's going on here? What's going on here? Why have we got... What's going on here? Why is all of this lot evading? Oh, you got to bring the dude through here, don't you?
I need to target something first.
This dude, I think, is in the cave. I think I need to go back in the cave, don't I? Sorry, this is not a showcase of expertise today. I wonder if they are going to nerf the World Quest Gold in pre-patch. Oh, for Dragonflight stuff? Probably, yeah. That's a good point, actually. That is usually something they do.
Opportunity's knocking. If you've got the metal, there are valuables waiting to be won.
Who's fella upstairs or something? Ah, you're up there. Work off means you can watch the stream. I'll give you the forewarning that I'm not on top form today. But, welcome in. Enjoy your day off for sure. I am most definitely a little bit worse for wear after this weekend. I didn't do exactly much relaxing or recuperating. Beer or tequila? Much beers. More than is advisable. Plenty of stuff to do, including renewing Gold Goblin. Hey, that's what I like to hear. That can cure a hangover. Yeah, with that, I try to keep the shameless promo to a minimum, but obviously the Goblin Guide to the War Within is available now. Gold Goblins over on Patreon. I appreciate the support very much. I hope it is worth it for you. I haven't got the guide open right now. Probably should do that. But yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. It's not finished yet, but it's definitely getting there. We have most of the professions pretty nailed now. I'm starting to get the leveling guides in a bit more detail, all of the professions, which is nice. Somebody was talking about blacksmithing earlier. What my pre-launch notes on blacksmithing? As of writing this, blacksmithing is in a horrid state, so this profession section is probably going to be quite short. Okay, yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since I've looked at blacksmithing, but there's more to come on this at the moment, once everything is smoothed out a little bit. Description, we had a little bit of a look at the other day. Starting to get a little bit more of an understanding of that. Engineering guide is pretty well padded out now, even some information on Mr. Crowd Pummeler. I need to pay a little bit more time and effort to the secondary professions, and I still have not touched fishing. But there's still room to move, but we are nearly 300 pages deep. So definitely coming along. My biggest project yet, so I hope it's useful for people. I think I was able to level blacksmithing to 85 with about 1k bismuth and some rare ingredients. 85 to 100 will suck. Yeah, they kind of have tried to, or it feels like they have tried to alleviate that problem with patron orders. But I would have agreed, it still lacks. Because the only way patron orders are then going to be useful to you if you have the recipes, the very select recipes that can give you skill points anyway. And so you need multiple level of things to be in place. You first need the recipe. First need the recipe to hand that is even going to give you a skill point, which is skill 85, 80 to 100. There's like maybe 3 recipes for each professions. You bet your ass one will be locked behind a raid boss. The other one will be like a rare drop from a dungeon or something, and then one will be deep into a spec tree. Now, I have the belief, not everybody will agree with this, but I have the belief that whatever spec you choose to play with, you should still be able to, not comfortably, but with a little bit of effort, still get to level 100. There are some choices in some professions where getting to level 100 is just basically impossible. That you have to spec into a recipe somewhere. Now, I think Blizzard knew this because they have made a few of the nodes on the spec trees like freebies. Meaning you have to obviously unlock the spec tree, but it doesn't cost you any knowledge points to get like one node deep and unlock a recipe. So they've definitely thought about it, but it's still not uniform. This is where the balance pass needs to happen, and where it sometimes. But for somebody that plays with the professions as often as I do, it becomes quite easy to spot when, okay, this profession's been balanced and this one hasn't. There's still a few that haven't been balanced. But, you know, we still got time. Still got time. One thing I probably should do as well is, at least before the expansion launches, there's no rush on doing this. There were reports that they changed the location of some of the treasures last week. Of course they did. I think I know why they did it. I think they only changed some of the ones in Dornogal. I think they did it because of phasing issues. Some of the treasures were going to clash with like where primary quest givers were going to be and stuff. They've changed a few of them up. But I'm going to have to go back through and just double check all of the locations. But I kind of at some point want to do like more real world style tests with the professions. Trying to get an idea. I mean, Renown, for example. Trying to get an idea of just how available it's going to be for players to get to Renown 12, to get to Renown 14. That's where some of your knowledge points lie. Be quite a high priority for any crafter, especially since the professions are... Sorry, the Renown is account-wide. Oh, my pet's dead. Tailoring, you only need 5 knowledge points to unlock an epic recipe. Yeah, you can get those epic recipes if you're willing to spec into them. But you also kind of forget that at the very beginning of an expansion, 5 points is everything. 5 points is like half a week's worth of, you know, limit. You don't want to put yourself like behind by specking into something that you then don't, you know, you don't want to spec into something just purely for gaining some skill points usually. That's kind of my approach with it. Or at least if you can at all help it. Ooh, a wild wife appears and I'm about to die. These old boys and girls will be back in 2. Alright. I just had to help the wife get some bottles and stuff collected for recycling. Oh, I forgot to do it. Dragonflight I specced into materials first and then got stuck at roughly 80 skill points with nothing that gave me skill points. I think I'll try gear from the beginning this time. But obviously it's kind of a catch-22 situation, isn't it? Because a lot of players will now fully understand what work orders involves and gear crafting involves. I think a lot of people went into it thinking it was going to be a gold mine. You know, oh, I'm crafting, you know, especially out the back of Shadowlands. Oh, I'm crafting people's, like, best in slot gear. I'm going to be able to charge them, like, 100,000 gold because they were paying that for legendaries and stuff. You know, people went into it with past expansion knowledge without truly understanding that you stand in Valdrakken and you're spamming trade chat and you're playing customer service, which was, result of it was just tediously boring. For many, obviously, I'm not trying to devalue your experience if you enjoy it, but it was far too much like playing customer service for my liking. You could argue this time round it could and should be better because people have had practice with it, but I'm not convinced. Blizzard have seemingly done nothing to alleviate the problem other than to put NPC work orders in, alternative to finding real people who want orders. Those NPC workers already seem about the same. At least it'll be something this time where you can just, oh, I'll check my NPC order list. No, this is trash, this is trash, this is trash. And then you can go on your way. You're not, like... You're not strictly in the same way wasting your time. Gotcha. Because if you know, with regular work orders, if you don't get a customer, literally just wasted your time. Oh, stop giving me your papers. All these good guy goblins. Oh no, too early. Overshot. You gotta get some good precision with your airstrike here. Gotta have the accuracy. Gotta make sure the goblin doesn't tilt his head just, you know, too fast. Too soon? Wait for these two. Only fun part of sitting in chat looking for work orders was the fact my character was literally named work orders. Clever. Boom! Twofer. We got a twofer. Nice. That quest was bugged for so long. I'm glad they fixed it. You mentioned that you need to spec into certain specs to be able to reach 100. Which professions are these? I can't remember exactly, but it's still a thing where they've kind of fixed the problem on some, but not with everybody. I can't off the top of my head give you an exact example, which is probably poor effort really. I probably should, but stuck in a rock. Stuck in a rock. But it is usually, if you're, it's only those specs where you are deliberately avoiding work orders. So if you're going the material reagent route, for example, you will quite often still find that your ability to skill to 100 is going to be challenged. You are gonna probably have to get really lucky with NPC work orders, or still go out of your way to get gear recipes in the hope that you'll find somebody to craft stuff for. This is why, like I said, this is an area where I think NPC work orders could really alleviate the pain, right? That for me is part of the reason why they exist in the first place. That's a way to provide an alternative when real and regular orders are not so easy to come by, for whatever the reason. You've spec'd in one direction, everybody wants a certain thing from a certain profession, but Blizzard's attempt to try and fix this with just a system of random, well, it means it will randomly work or it randomly won't work. There's only two outcomes there. It'll either be useful or it won't. Seems like a real strange design choice from a catch-up system predominantly, and secondly a system that's meant to alleviate the natural issues that occur in a player v player environment. I wish Blizzard changed the way sharing your profession in chat works. For so many alts, if you link them an alt profession, the alt is not online, it will not open anything. Well, yeah, I mean, the whole screaming about it in trade chat is an incredibly rudimentary basic way of doing it in the first place. I've been the biggest advocate out there probably for them doing something. Some sort of crafters directory, some sort of, I don't know, crafters, like a crafters market, for example. I don't know. Like, there doesn't seem to have been any thought on the gameplay side of that at all. Oh, we have these IRC chat channels. We'll let people just figure it out themselves. Like, is that really the Blizzard solution? I mean, it was a Blizzard, it was a Blizzard solution back in, 2006. Is it really a 2024 Blizzard level solution? I'm not convinced. I think it'd be perfectly reasonable to require the buyers to supply all rank 3 mats for maxed crafts. I think it will make everything a lot simpler, even if the buyers roll their eyes some. Yes, it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but yes. The issue with that, though, is quite quickly going to become that, people will be like, well, why do rank 1 and 2 materials exist? If you have to provide the best quality stuff, like Blizzard are trying their hardest to get away from this mentality. You can see they're doing it. They're trying to get away from this mentality of nothing but the best is acceptable. Yet at the same time, the resulting system almost only reinforces it. At least public, like the closest the closest thing is at least they've switched public orders to having to require all of... You've got to provide all of the materials for public order. They still haven't, you know, they still haven't bent on the fact that you need... that you can you can't request quality within a public order still. But then the prerogative is that, well, if you want the best chance at the best quality, you need to provide the best materials. You provide quality 1 materials and then are hoping to get quality 5 out of it, you're in for a bad time, right? If you want that level of expertise, then maybe you need to be relying on not just a random public order for something, but actually finding a proper skilled crafter that knows what they're doing. So, needing all materials to be provided is a step in the right direction. But I still do kind of agree with you. It would sort of make things, in a way, simpler. It's a simpler system, but I don't think it's any less confusing. And in a weird way, I think it might be more confusing. A lot of public orders probably come from the fact that players have some of their own materials, and they just provide the materials that they own, and they're not the crafter. They don't care about the materials. This is kind of why I've had the opinion, and this didn't go down very well with the community generally, but like I had the opinion of that I don't think people should provide anything. I think that should be entirely the crafter's thing. If you remove all but one of the variables, leave the one variable that is gold, right? How much does somebody want this thing? And if you want it at top quality, you're going to have to pay more for it. I don't think with public orders, or even personal orders to a degree, but if you're going to go the extent of a personal order, then sure, you can do as you please, but there's part of me that still thinks that public orders should maybe not allow you to provide anything. The only thing you provide is the spark. You provide the spark, which is, should we say, the catalyst to produce that tier's level of content, and you provide nothing else. But there's also problems with that, so... This is why I play the game and I'm not a game designer. I'm sorry, hope you're doing okay. If you want to talk about it, it was all Harry Kane's fault. I don't like to point fingers in any one direction. And whilst it is very easy to look at the overall performance and say, Kane did basically nothing. I don't really think that it was Kane's fault that he did nothing. I still don't really think that he fits the current squad. Which is not to take anything away from his ability. He just doesn't fit that squad very well. His expertise comes from playing the game in a very specific way. And unfortunately, the team around him doesn't supply him with the tools he needs to do his job properly. So, while I do partly agree that... Because look what you cannot deny that every time... or on the couple of occasions he was taken off the pitch and he was replaced by our other attacking midfielders, our other strikers, our other centre forwards, that the team did better. Just as a team, we worked better without Harry Kane. A few years ago, it was different because we had more ability to run down the wing and to whip the ball in. And then have Harry just go bonk in the back of the net. Harry needs that happening 20 times a game and he'll put a few of them away. But our team this year, and probably going forward, because some of these guys aren't going anywhere anytime soon, are significantly more focused on cutting in and playing little 1-2s to sneak through the defensive line and get one-on-one. That's just the way our team plays now, and unfortunately Harry Kane doesn't really fit in that equation. So, without talking too much football today, I kind of agree, but I equally at the same time, I'm not really putting blame on Harry Kane himself. If any, like, truth be told, it's not Harry's fault. Southgate should have had the balls to not start him, is my opinion on it. He had the balls to take off Harry Kane and had the balls to take off our captain in a couple of games. But the honest answer is I don't think he should have started every game. Not to mention, he's clearly knackered. He's clearly absolutely burnt to a crisp. The fact that he clearly wasn't even able to do the full 90 minutes, never mind 120 minutes. In football terms, he's not a spring chicken anymore. And he's never exactly been the quickest. But anyway, it's done now. We don't have to worry about this shit for 2 more years. 2026 World Cup. Worry about it then. Apparently we should be offering our condolences to London's wives. Sure. Well, we got the Olympics next, yeah. I never expect us to do anything particularly fancy in the Olympics. We do alright on a few things. Some people get really into the Olympics. I've got a family member who is married to an American, and surprise, surprise, she is absolutely massive on the Olympics. It's very much easier to get into a wide variety of sports when you dominate most all of them. He absolutely loves them. Ah, this character's so scuffed. I need a level and a half on this character to ding 80. The weird thing is that under normal circumstances, I'd have probably just put this character down and left it as it is. The fact that there's a 5% XP bonus to be obtained by getting it to level 80 means I'm fighting through. And I can't comfortably do like any proper skinning testing because at level 77 I'm about as weak as I'll ever get. I take on more than 2 mobs at the moment and it starts to get a bit sketch. I don't mean I start men only OnlyFans, but like my time to kill is horrendous at level 77.
Need a target.
Okay. Well, it's seemingly difficult to find quests out here. Unless we've got some delves or something we can go do. Part of me that wants to like properly attack delves and see how far we can get with them. It's another time-consuming thing though.
We've got hostiles. You need to step up and engage them. We want to preserve this place.
From a Dutch news source, the English media is saddened after the defeat of the national team in the European Championship finals against Spain. Striker Harry Kane, in particular, has to pay the price in the press. Spanish newspapers saw the rise of a new golden generation. Yeah, I mean, we have got some absolutely astounding players in our squad right now. Literally, you cannot deny. Like, a couple of guys have really stood out as well. Mainu is looking fantastic. For a 19-year-old, he's looking so smart on the ball. We got Bellingham, who's already like world top tier and is like 21 or something. We've got a couple of really good players in our squad now. I sense this is going to be both Harry Kane's and Southgate's last tournament. I'm pretty convinced of it. You know, as I said, Harry just doesn't fit the squad anymore. He just doesn't fit the squad. They tried many different things to get him into the game, and our play style just doesn't suit it to him. You can count on one hand the amount of times that the ball was passed to Harry Kane and he did anything with it. Because he just doesn't suit. He's meant to be in the 6-yard box, and he's meant to be a big presence in the box, and he's meant to bang them in. He's not meant to be turning defenders and running one-on-one, like outpacing players. That's just not what he does. And you could see it. Bellingham was getting so frustrated. So frustrated. Since the fact that Bellingham would be zipping in and out, twisting, turning, weaving, pulling defenders left, right, and centre. He'd play it to Harry Kane. Harry Kane would fall over and then fumble the pass. And it was like Bellingham was just like, what am I meant to do? Like, we need people down the wings, whip it in, and Harry Kane's just going to head it in. That's how he scores goals. But the team just can't supply him with the ammo he needs. Shoot. I think he'll be at the World Cup, but with another role. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. But anyway, I get into the football when it's on a European level. I couldn't care less about club football, which means I tend to not totally grasp I tend to not totally grasp exactly what each of the players are best at, because I don't watch them day in, day out for their club, so I understand the basics, and I get, I get bits and pieces, but I even think Ronaldo will be at the World Cup again. One last time. Well, the man's an absolute machine, isn't he? Ronaldo is an absolute machine. But he's suffering from the same issue. He's suffering from the same issue, that he's not what he used to be. He's not what he used to be, and there are some Portuguese players who are coming through and are more than willing to take his role. And it just becomes messy. Not that messy. It becomes frustrating for the rest of the team and for the management of that team when you have a power player like that that is arguably past their prime but refuses to step down. Look how hard it was for Ronaldo to give anybody else even a free kick this entire tournament. Practically refused. He had to take every free kick. He had to take every penalty. And there was practically... It's got to come from him. There's nobody that's going to be able to tell him to step down. He's got to choose to do it himself.
Totem's power will drain whenever you take a step.
But yeah, I'm not going to talk football all day because it's a painful subject right now. With a bit of a hangover and a headache, talking about yesterday's football hurts, mentally and physically. Not to mention there's a lot of people that couldn't care less about the football. I tried to keep IRL politics and, you know, stuff out of the streams as much as possible, because I know a lot of people play video games to escape things like that, so... Why do you call soccer football anyway? You can touch the ball with anything but your hands, so why not call it body ball? Football makes no sense. I mean, if we're gonna pick pedantics, why is American football called football? It still doesn't make any sense. I heard some interesting thing that apparently the reason it's called soccer is soccer was actually soccer was actually a term that was coined by the English in the first place. It was always called soccer. Soccer was like an acronym. There was the SOC or something way back when. It was an acronym for like the governing body for football. Football was like the posh way that people would talk about the sport. Colloquially, it became soccer because of some governing body for it or something. And we took the phrase, so when we took the phrase soccer over to Team NA, they just adapted it. And it's only in the last 50 plus years or something that we British have referred to it as football again. Can't quite remember the story behind it, but... Names for association football. Just as rugby football was shortened to rugger, association football became known as soccer due to the truncation of the word association. Okay. There we go. Fly no flag, I'll go after any culture for being silly. I'm not racist, I fucking hate everybody. Yep. You do something dumb, you're gonna feel my wrath. You don't get an excuse. There he goes. Another pile of treasure. Gonna pick up the treasure? How come you pair are not doing it? Come in, Bran. Some stuff. Got it. Right, there's 2. Cozy on. Typical hunter, Bran finally does something, snipes the kill shot. You know what I mean? He's gonna be claiming all of the weapons next, isn't he? Need to remember British and American variations of English departed nearly 400 years ago. In many aspects, American English is kind of stuck in the past. Axis-wise especially. Like they still prefer to use fall instead of autumn and so on. I suppose. What's it called? Lexicography? The study of words or something? Oh shit. Boom. I need another candle. Running out of candle juice. Feeling like I've missed. Oh, here we go. Here's one. That's better. Lexicology, but it has a lot of branches. No. Branches is trees. That's biology. Even I know that. Come on, wake up. Have you tried the underwater delve? Very thematic and only slightly annoying. I don't think I have. I've not given enough time to testing. Any of the delves in the last zone I've probably not done. I've had real problems with beta that the last zone, Ashgahet, is just so busted every time I go there. I've had real issues with like fly hack level issues in terms of the like I can't move my character properly. Like massive, like game-breaking lag spikes. This is kind of why I wanted to test lore mastering on another character again. To see if like doing more than just the basic campaign to get there might alleviate some of these issues, but it's not gone down very well. The last zone is clearly the zone I have tested the least, just mostly because it's mildly frustrating to even try and test it. Are you going to come and play? Let's come and pull you before stuff gets out of hand anyway. There's an NPC that will send you to any of the 20 delves on the 80 server. I mean, yeah, I know you can test the higher level delves from there as well. I haven't particularly felt the need to test delves all that much because I don't really. Now this could be a poor assumption, but I don't think that the delves are really going to have much of an impact on like fashions and goal making particularly. There's going to be a few recipes, for example, you might go in here and get. It could be famous last words. It could end up being that there's a really good goal making opportunity in here that I've accidentally ignored from preconception about the zones, but just like I haven't tested the dungeons and stuff all that much. The reason I never do beta unless I'm forced to. Well, yeah, it's kind of, I know historically that I learn things way better the second time I do them. The first time the first time I go through anything, so like the first time I play through the campaign, for example, I don't pick up anything. My brain doesn't absorb anything. I'm entirely in let's just work through it kind of mode. And I'm the same with professions even. I have to play through and I have to level and I have to tinker with professions 2 or 3 times before I really get the gist of it. Or get what I consider a strong understanding of it. Some players pick things up first time and it's you know, they definitely have that as an advantage. I for the most part need to do things a few times, which is why I'm leveling again. I've done all of these. I've leveled to 80 before. I've done the whole campaign before, but I wanted to do it again so I get a stronger understanding. But having to do something 2 or 3 times to get a good understanding of it means I definitely can't test everything. Not enough hours in the day. So I tend to stick in my lane. Test goblin stuff. Test the professions. Get the leveling guides and stuff in order for those. Alright, here's Wax Face then. Let's get him gone. Now, I vaguely remember my pet's aggro means nothing to this dude. He also can't be stunned. That wasn't too bad. Bran's level 92%. Oh, Ringing Deep's ingot. Good one, Bran. Well done. You were at least semi-useful. Lost supplies. Treasure around here? Ah, cheeky. Oh. Could have done with that a minute ago. Yeah, character copy not working has also been a big frustration for me. There's an awful lot of stuff I haven't been able to test properly because I can't copy my account data over. So I'm testing almost everything with the equivalent of brand new characters. The key to success. Cipher key. Bring the archaic cipher key to Elise Starseeker in Dornogle. Delver's Journey rep. 750 undercoins and resonance crystals. Okay, so they've actually implemented all of the progression path delves now by the looks of things, which is quite cool. Transferable. It worked for me yesterday for the first time on the Delight server, or the character copy. I've been able to copy characters. I've not been able to copy account data. Rattling bag of gold. Oh, this is like usually 50 gold or something. Yeah, this is nothing too spicy. 533 cape though. Go on then. Crush mobs give decent loot too. It's very much like soloing a heroic or a mythic 0 dungeon. Yeah, you end up with loads of greys and stuff in your bags, all of which is worth something. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's super duper mega lucrative, but something is better than nothing.
The answers are here. I can feel it. Truth is out. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Have they said anything about tunes from Remix? Not yet. Not yet. Or at least if they have, it's not come past my eyes or ears. My suspicion is it'll just be the like level 70 character copy sort of gear. Nothing particularly fancy. 420-ish sort of item level.
You be careful, man.
Alright, that one's bugged. Retaking the mines, there's a quest up there.
Someone didn't get the message. These are earthen resources.
Oh, is this to do another delve? Okay. Sure.
Think I not see what you do in my mind? Unround,
Steel candle kill kobolds. Angry dude, isn't he?
leave new friends. Early mental present. And close to the height. We not entertain today.
Okay. Oh shit. Sneaked up on. Sounds like Reinhardt from Overwatch. I mean, it could very well be the same voice actor. That's entirely possible. Has Overwatch got a Transformers thing going on at the moment? Bit of a crossover.
What is
Candle King is cruel, but very strong. Too strong to attack like this.
538. We get 2 trinkets. Come on then.
conversation terminated?
Packs have a chance to set the target ablaze, doing a bunch of damage. Triggering this effect will refresh and also spread it to a nearby. That's kind of cool. Spirit grows as it travels towards the target, dealing up to 100% additional fire damage. That's quite cool too. I think.
Friends have food, right?
Done this one already, but it's fine.
We show kobolds and warrens the no-need Candle King.
It seems I underestimated the problem. And
We get out of here. Skins are pretty nostalgic. Yeah, I've never got into Overwatch.
And Skitter find good
It was
Flare out.
yeah, I never really got into Overwatch. It kind of, well, I'm going to be brutally honest, I kind of stopped playing FPS games
Lots of
since my reaction speed was just getting absolutely dumpstered on by sweaty teenagers.
jobs too.
And it's also something that unless you practice it relatively frequently,
Used to be happy place.
you'll
Bullies and fear everywhere.
yeah, well, to cut a long story short, if I'm not able to like win at something, I'll often just not do it. That was Overwatch in a nutshell for me. Not that it wasn't fun, just wasn't very good at it. And not being very good at an FPS game can get boring quite quickly.
My candle, not lit. No take anything I no take. You'll be back, right? Protect us now. We deal with bullies, so warrens can be free.
At least we got a bunch of quests all of a sudden. Experience to be had here.
Something first.
Doing with all of these? Looking for scrap. Opened a ton of those random debris treasures. Most of them are just junk. They're about as worth as dirt piles on the Tuskar fish boxes. There's the disturbed dirt can give you the waxy, what they call blobs of wax or something, which can be turned in for rubies, which in turn can be turned in for other materials and stuff. So there's some long tail to those ones. Not everything, anything super fantastic though. I agree. Most of it is just trash. These lot can all be skinned though. These fellas can be skinned. This is a pretty densely populated area. Spider sense is tingling. Considering my main character's a leatherworker as well, kind of need to figure out a little bit more about skinning, really. It's kind of the permanent frustration of being a leatherworking main, is that I have to have a firm understanding of skinning, even though skinning is really boring. Mostly because I want to know how difficult it is for the skinners to actually get the stuff. By skinners, I mean often bops. But at the moment, because the gloom fathom hide is one for leatherworking that I am still very unsure of where it comes from, but it's predominantly needed in a lot of crafts. I should not be this far into the testing phase without the understanding of where some of the basic rudimentary materials come from, but pretty sure it comes from from elusive creature baiting. Partly the reason I wanted this character at high level and maybe even geared a little bit is to be able to test skinning in a little bit more effective a fashion. Candle City, where you drop flyers, will probably be a farming spot. Yeah, there's just a very good dense population over here, which is usually a good start. Quests over here, meaning things are likely to hyperspawn. Lots of mobs, good kill count per hour if you're out here, 2x4. Hyperspawn farming. Dark Moon cards, potentially cloth. These are considered humanoids, so if you're a tailor, these are likely to be good. You're likely to get cloth drops off these if you're a tailor as well. Bit of a hyperspawn inscription tailoring. Dark Moon card farm, cloth farm, maybe throw a skinner in here type situation on the go. That's dead again. Barrel. Okay. Definitely lots of waxy fellas over here. Yeah, this is clearly going to be quite a popular farming spot, isn't it? The only thing I haven't done in much detail is figure out if any of the mobs specifically drop treasures again. Now, I've hunted through the game files a touch to try and find unaccounted for knowledge point items. I've not really stumbled on any, which gives me the impression that we might not be running around killing very specific mobs to get a single knowledge point each and every week again, which I'd be super happy if that's not the case, because that was annoying AF, Dragonfly. But I've not been able to conclusively test that. Where are these trapped fellas who need freeing? Some. No! Oh, I definitely didn't target you. Where do we get weekly knowledge points then? How much? Well, your patron orders is apparently going to be the primary location for them. Now, your mileage is going to vary with patron orders because whilst if you don't have the recipes to fill the patron orders, you're not going to be able to complete the patron orders, meaning you might not have easy access to even get to your weekly knowledge cap, which is going to be a wild frustration for many when they see knowledge points yet can't do anything about them. It's looking like we're going to be in the same sort of position, though. We're looking at like 12 to 15 knowledge points a week. I don't think they've really... They're not dramatically changing the acquisition of knowledge points again. Some of the spec trees have slightly more knowledge points this time round than they did in Dragonflight, so the total number of knowledge needed to fill your trees is a little bit higher. So actually, for some players, the professions might feel even more grindy than they did last time. But we'll see. We'll see how much actually time is needed to be invested each week into each profession to keep them sort of up to speed. It was kind of easy to determine after a couple of weeks in Dragonflight, though, because we kind of knew that you go here, you go there, you go there. And, you know, weak auras started appearing and all sorts of stuff to try and say what you'd done and what you hadn't done and track it all. I'm sure the same will happen in the new expansion. I've tracked as much as I've found. That's all I can do, though, to be honest. I can never categorically conclude that I have found everything or not found everything.
And we'd swapped his beard polish for Cinderbird. Lit up like a magma vent, he did.
Oh, that was bind on equip. Oh, wait, what about these ones? There we go.
Stoneheads have humor, but you're pretty funny. Bring back snack. Stay out of dark.
I will ensure you're contemplating mayhem. Mixing the cinder brew with candle wax should yield pyrotechnic results.
What we got here? Alchemy, alchemical sediment, deepstone crucible, four-way billets, dense blade stones, crystalline repository, powdered fulgurant. They're all the treasure ones. They're all the treasure ones. They're the ones you find from treasures, not necessarily from killing mobs. I've found all of those. But as in Dragonflight, when you could get 2 from dirt piles, and you could get 2 from killing very specific mobs, the 2 very specific mob kill ones don't seem to have been implemented in the War Within. Maybe Blizzard deemed those to be a little bit, considering how there was no catch-up system, maybe they considered that to be a little bit too much, like you absolutely must need to know what you're doing without any in-game way of finding it out. Either you research the shit out of it, or you found a weak aura, or, you know, you kind of had to do... Every week you didn't pick that kill those 2 very specific mobs, you were technically falling behind without even knowing you were falling behind. So maybe it was deemed too too sweaty for them to copy paste it again. Opened a dirt pile on my jewel crafter and got a knowledge point. Oh, you mean like Dragonflight dirt? You're testing Dragonflight stuff in the War Within beta? Am I understanding that right? You get to keep the development you've made on the beta for the release. No. No, beta is purely a test platform. Nothing transfers to the live version of the game. This little area, though, mind. These are humanoids. These are humanoids. They have relatively small numbers of health. And there is plenty of them about. Shit the bed.
I need to target something first.
This place could be very lucrative as a tailor. Maybe the next, because this dude's going to be this dude's a skinner. Maybe the next character I level it as, make sure I keep tailoring and inscription on the character. Just to get an indication of how much cloth and how frequent we get Dark Moon cards. That's kind of, I think, semi-valuable information. There's also believed to be a bit of a... Well, this is clearly an early implementation problem that will probably go away. But there's perceivably a way mass-produce Dark Moon cards again, which I think is very broken and will definitely be changed. But I think it's kind of funny all the same. The fact that there's a skill point in inscription, which means when you... I'm going to use the word transmute because I can't remember the right word, but when you convert or transmute one Dark Moon card into another, there's a small chance for it to proc a bonus card, but it doesn't consume, you know, it converts one into one, and this conversion process doesn't seem to have a cooldown, and if there's even a 1% chance of it producing a second card, that's just a multiplication glitch right there. Like, just keep transforming one card into another card and you eventually will end up with unlimited amounts of cards. So they're clearly going to have to put some cooldown on this, or they're going to have to... Well, it's going to have to be a cooldown, isn't it, really? Otherwise, you're just printing free cards. It's odd. Hang on, what? Wait, what? What did I do here? Okay, sure. Go here. Disguise yourself as a kobold. Vaguely remember doing this.
Don't get too close to kobolds. Sneak in. Take back crown.
Oop. Alright, what are we doing? Snuff out the candles. On. So in beta, any progress you have done before the official release, do you lose it or do you get to keep it? Oh, you keep nothing. It's 100% a test platform. There is no progress that's retained.
Just dark. Dark can't hurt you if you keep light inside. Just dark. Dark can't hurt you if you keep light inside.
I think a lot of people have been sort of are misunderstood misunderstood what beta offers, and that's because if you are, it's not anybody's it's not any individual's fault here, mind, because it's just the fact that Blizzard have made the assumption that everybody understands what beta means. Because on other games, when you get access to a beta version, that beta version then rolls into, you know, a 1.0 release version. That's not how World of Warcraft has ever worked, though. But because other games do work like that, I can see why people have been confused by it.
I need a target. I need to target something first.
We go deeper.
Okay, I accidentally picked up some friends there. Wow, where are you from? Sludgy McSludge.
I don't have a target.
It probably doesn't help that Blizzard has now... What? Enter the throne room. No, we're not exiting. Yeah, it probably doesn't help that Blizzard has now, like, sold beta access. Which means people have bought it kind of half on the assumption that they get to keep it. If you know what I mean.
I need a target.
No, there is nothing to be kept from beta. If you're on beta, you're just it's a preview of what you will be able to do when the game goes live. Nothing more. You can obviously take as many notes and figure as much stuff out as you like, but no progress is transferred. You get to keep the knowledge, and knowledge is power. Yeah, the knowledge in your head.
Quick, grab key, take crown.
I mean, I have, because my head is not big enough, I have a document now that is 286 pages long of notes just for the professions. Where's the word count? 23,700 words of notes and information about just the professions. PhD within. I was going to say, yeah, there's probably more words in that than some people's dissertations. Quite possibly. Go, there's the candle crown. Yoink. We open the rest of them anyway.
Crown symbol of hope. Candle King,
too
no
far
take
away.
it from us. Now we escape. Let's go.
Chocolate coins. 2 gold 50.
We're friends, right? Protect us from Big Bad.
Haven't seen a single game that transfers your progress from the beta into the live version of the game. Well, I mean, I guess it comes down a little bit to how they have, like, named. It's a naming thing, isn't it? You know, it's so common a practice now for games to release in early access, and that early access just follows through. You know, they go from a 0.1 to 0.2 all the way through until eventually they go into, like, a 1.0 version of the game, and it just rolls on. Not so much, obviously, in not so much in MMO form, but
Anything I no take.
you can understand where the confusion comes from. Now, this was an epic cured terracotta firearm. I should disenchant this, shouldn't I, really? We should have enchanting on this character as well.
Conversation initiated. I am sorry for what has happened to your people. I understand what it feels like to watch your home slip away.
Some streamers got early review copies of the Elden Ring DLC to review, and everything they did before release they got to keep. Well, yeah, this is the thing, right? It's a single player game. So, like...
The Candle King may still hold power.
It's...
But your people have a home in Gundergaz.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah, it's different.
We help new friends. Many hands make light work.
Are you here to chat or work? May your hat. Sometimes
These are all quests we've done before. I've not been finding anything new still out here.
I see Speaker Prince has returned.
The number of
As long as she knows her...
Are we preparing for more Nerubian attack?
Why haven't we heard more? Earth and above us have fought that battle. We're currently investigating. You would be wise to avoid that distant destination.
No further questions. Return to your assigned duties. Praise the High Speaker.
I'll speak with the
Actually, even on retail, my Skinner doesn't have a second profession.
In the meantime, I want to investigate Taylor.
I think I leveled a paladin just purely for the purpose of skinning in Dragonflight. I didn't do much with it though. Assist Foreman Grimes, learn from Granny Scribbles and help Janky. Some of these quests are really frustrating. These are intro quests.
Nice weapons! No kill me!
Okay, now we've got quite a few of the zone-related quests unlocked.
It's you! Remember, me helpful! Be nice to kobolds!
Shiny rocks. Oh my god, let's not annoy you. Okay, I accidentally spawned one anyway. See how elite these elites really are. They don't seem that elite, do they? Concentration, it feels like I assume that's shorthand for 3-star will be even more expensive. As I see it, you could spam rank 3 procs if you had millions. Now it won't matter even if you have gold. Once mats run out, that's it. You're on the right lines.
I need to something first.
The economy is going to be quite interesting short term because you're going to have basically 2 prices for everything. Or you're going to have, like, there'll be 2 separate crafting costs for everything. Because yes, if you use all quality 3 materials, crafters will get to the point where they can guarantee top quality crafts. But using top quality materials to do that is going to get pretty expensive pretty fast. Crafters will start looking for cheaper ways to craft things, and the cheaper way of crafting things is using quality 2 materials and concentration. Of course, that limits how many of a thing you can make every day. So there'll be like those 2 crafting prices. The cheap way with concentration and the quality 3 way, but an unlimited time in a day. Now, we know from past experience that There is always enough crafters out there to keep a steady supply of whatever it is that people want. And so there'll be plenty of quality 3 consumables, that sort of stuff. But yes, they are also likely to be quite expensive. Significantly more expensive than level 2 consumables. Which is good, I think. Like, it's an interesting way for Blizzard to try and force the mindset of you don't always have to use quality 3. Realistically, the only way that that's gonna the only way you'll get that through to players is by outpricing it for some. As gross as it sounds, you got to make some players feel poor for them to be content with taking quality 2 as an option. Now, what we also know though is that the player base will likely push back on this one. Players don't like being made to feel poor in a video game, especially in a video game which they already consider it pay to win by the fact that you buy yourself out of boredom. If it was an entirely player-driven economy and there was no purchasing of gold, it's a different story to when you can take your credit card out and swipe. I'm not convinced player base is ready for just how expensive some quality 3 components are going to be. Which will... yeah. It's going to be fun for Season 1. It's probably not going to be a problem for much longer than Season 1, because natural game economics will slowly squish the price between quality 3 and quality 2 anyway. But right at the beginning, it's going to be pretty wild. If you want to be using quality 3 components, if you want quality 3 gems, if you want quality 3 enchants, if you want quality 3 everything, if you want quality 5 gear and quality 3 everything, your expenditure is going to be a multiple of what it would be if you were just to be content with quality 2. We're not talking like 10-20% more expensive. We're talking like 2, 3, 4 times as expensive.
Stand up to big things. Not my fault.
But that's kind of the economics. That's just kind of how economies work, you know? If everybody could afford a yacht, it wouldn't be... If everybody could go out and buy a yacht wouldn't be considered a luxury, expensive, status symbol item if everybody could afford it. There is part of an economy that indicates that you have to have some people not being able to afford everything for the economy to exist in the first place. Now, I know players would just, if you can have everything for free, then nothing's worth anything. How much of that you need in a video game, though, is also questionable. So, I get people's perspective on this. Season 2 is going to be defined by having every profession spec maxed on some character and just churning out high quality stuff in a top-down, self-supported system. Where possible, yeah. One thing that I haven't really calculated, and you could almost, with enough data, math this out, how much of a single profession, or how many alts would you need to be self-sufficient? How many characters and how many professions are you going to need to keep up to speed? Let's say you're a raid logger for the most part. You log in, you want to go kill bosses, and you do it in a reasonably competent guild. Let's say you're maybe not clearing Mythic raid every time, but you're at least adventuring into Mythic as a guild. You're raiding a couple of nights a week. You like to keep your gear up to scratch. What is it going to take for you to be self-sufficient? Is it even possible to be self-sufficient? What kind of effort might be needed to be self-sufficient? could you have an alchemy alt, and could you be self-responsible for making all of your own potions and flasks with your own, you know, allocation of concentration? It's possible to math this sort of stuff out, but it's always a little bit hard to judge. For Season 1, the player base is going to probably quite heavily rely on consistent crafters doing crafting things. But this is where crafters can charge their premium. This is where crafters make their profit from. There are more people out there
sweet profit
that need the thing that they make, and it's, in essence, creates a bidding war. You can have my thing, but it's going to cost this much. If you're willing to pay that for it, then you can have it. If you're not willing to pay for it, you can't have it. Omega with a prime, thank you very much. Not even a prime, sorry. A tier 1. Thank you very much. Welcome in. When will the first Spark of Omen crafts be needed? Well, I suspect you're not going to get your first half a spark until the first week of the season. So that will be sort of 2 weeks in. Crafted gear in that nature is not going to be needed for a little while. And it also depends how many sparks we, you know, in what sort of cadence we get them. Sparks are, by the way, like half again. You have to collect 2 fractured sparks to make a normal one. You might get 2 half sparks in your first week, and if that's the case, then you'll start seeing crafting orders for gear in week 1. But there's also the crest side of things as well. You might find some people are waiting to get their crests before being able to order something. I need to kill this dude. Oh, I need to free this fella. There he is. Maybe there was still some reason to be over here. I mean, it's one of those. You can probably be self-sufficient with your professions without too much without too many alts. But one thing that can be said for sure is it's an amount of time and effort that somebody will have to put in that they might not want to put in. This is... Look at cooking. Cooking's the example I use of this every time. Everybody can have access to cooking, and everybody could, in theory, make their own food. But look how many people don't bother. Look how many people would rather either farm up the gold, or how many people would rather just buy a token than buy the food. You can be self-sufficient with your own alchemy and herbing, but many players really despise the crafting and the gathering. As my brother used to say, I'd rather farm some raw gold than just buy flasks. Yeah, you see, this is it. This is it. There's if you don't gel with that type of content, then you're not really going to want to do it. This is the advantage goblins have always had. That they're often willing to do things that other players don't want to do, and that's why they can charge a profit for it. Is that all we needed? Get out of here. Save what can be saved. Chill your beans. This is often, and this is where I think, and I kind of hope that Dragonflight and the War Within are going to differ. In Dragonflight, it was nearly always, for most players out there, it was nearly always the wrong decision to play with the professions yourself, which from a gameplay perspective is terrible, right? Because And why was that? Well, it was the wrong decision to play with professions for the most part, because there was no limitation to how much people could craft. Meaning, soon as one person had a more efficient way to craft something than somebody else, they were able to dictate the market price for that item. So how does this actually translate to the game properly? Well, it meant that most players who picked up their professions and were like, you know what, I'm going to be an alchemist so then I can make my own potions, very quickly realized that they were so inefficient at making potions, their crafting cost was significantly higher than what the potions were selling for on the auction house anyway. So the wrong decision was quite clear. The wrong decision was to level up your professions and try and be self-sufficient. Which, if you're making a game, that is terrible. That situation can even exist, right? And this is what they've tried to rectify in The War Within with the professions. This is kind of why concentration exists in the first place. It means that there'll be the price, or at least what Blizzard hope is that the market price for an item, a potion, a flask, something along those lines, will hover around whatever the guaranteed crafting cost is. Guaranteed crafting cost will be using all quality 3 materials. But there will always, because of concentration, be a cheaper way for players to make it themselves. So if you want to be self-sufficient and you want to use your own concentration to make your own potions, your own flasks, your own enchants, your own gems, it will theoretically, or at least there's a much greater chance of it still being the right choice to level your professions and try and be self-sufficient. Sure, it takes more effort, but it should always be better than what happened in Dragonflight, where there was a very distinct leveling your professions was the wrong choice. Because when you in Dragonflight, when you first pick up a profession, let's say it cost you 1,000 gold to make a flask. There were players out there that had got so much skill in making flasks and were so proficient at making flasks, they could make flasks for less than half that price. And so the market value of those flasks very quickly also then became, you know, cheaper than what it cost most people to make them themselves, which meant you'd be ludicrous to even try and do it yourself. Kind of a bit ridiculous, but hopefully they've addressed that a little bit. So if you put the effort into your professions in The War Within, you should see some value from doing it. And at the same time, those seasoned pros who want to play with professions all day long will still have the ability to craft as much as they want, sell as much as they want. But of course, they'll have to be a little bit more careful about it, because not everything will be... Margins still won't be fantastic for, you know, unlimited craft items. I suspect that quality 3 crafts will probably hover about 85 to 90% of what their crafting cost actually is. So you'll still open TSM, you'll still open Craft Sim, and it will tell most players that you probably shouldn't craft this. But the way you make a profit on those is you use your concentration instead. Make a handful of things on the cheap, you go and sell them, and you come back the next day and craft a handful more of them using the concentration that's regenerated. And, you know, that's how you make a small little drip feed profit from your professions. Rinse and repeat that process for the entire expansion. Good. Hence why everybody is saying that alt armies are going to be very good. You're not going to be crafting 1,000 potions on one alchemist. You're likely to be crafting 100 potions on 10 alchemists. My opinion, concentration refunds too fast. I bet it would be the same Shadowlands Legendary situation. It'll take months for players to get max ranks. Well, much like Dragonflight, you can absolutely min-max your ability to make something in about 150 to 200 knowledge points, usually. Which is theoretically possible after only a couple of weeks. If you hyper-focus on something, you can be as good as you can possibly ever get with that thing very quickly. But let's not forget what that actually means. That means that you'll be very good at making that one thing and may, at that point, not have to use concentration on crafting that one thing. You'll still have to use concentration anytime you want to craft anything else, though. Which is kind of why it's okay for concentration to not be too slow. But it is a fine balance for sure. And my opinion on this is slightly changed since we first saw concentration. Mostly because I realised just how important concentration is going to be for intermediate materials. Actually, using concentration on crafting endgame gear isn't the main focus. Because endgame gear is something that you are theoretically going to produce a very small quantity of. It takes a lot of materials, but you're only theoretically crafting it occasionally. And if you're being self-sufficient, you know, you're only going to make one piece of crafted gear potentially every 2 weeks. So that you don't need to designate much concentration to that. Which is why I was advocating for concentration to be quite slow. Because if you could make 10 pieces of crafted gear a day, for example, with your concentration, then all of a sudden you are making way more. You've got the potential to make way more things than people are ever going to need. That's not looking at the full picture. You need to look at the full picture and you need to say, well, actually, to make that one piece of crafted gear, you need to, either you or somebody else needs to have spent an awful lot of concentration on making all of the intermediates that go into that as well. It's not just the concentration needed to guarantee that quality 5. It's all the concentration that needs to have gone into guaranteeing those quality 3s as well. Those quality 3 materials to make that quality 5 piece of gear. And so, overall, most of your concentration will be utilized, I suspect, on intermediate materials. And you'll either choose to use those for your own crafts or then sell them.
Hey, we're friends, okay?
One more you. We're missing an overgrowth. Here we go. Kind of reminds me of the focus mechanic from Albion Online. Never a game I played, but I'm also very aware that this concentration mechanic isn't anything new. Does alchemy still have some specialization that makes vials last longer? Yes, if you spec into them, you can have them last longer. Vials are now flasks again, by the way. Flasks are back. Vials have been mostly demoted to just profession buff items. Flasks and potions are your combat consumables.
Are you here to help?
Pipe is coming loose. Smack it. Is that this one? Pressure is too much. Pressure readout. Oh, pull the lever. Oh, that one. Now we have to start over. Oh, flipping no.
Do you need something?
Hang on. This is one I have to pay attention to. Pressure lever. Console is stuck. Guess that's that one. Pressure's too much. Console is stuck. Pressure's too much. Can I have something else, maybe? What's the pressure at now? Read the numbers. Okay.
Nice weapons! No kill me! Be nice to kobolds! Remember, me helpful!
Rip, another expansion where every character I play has alchemy. It's one of its professions, I guess. Just feels good to get. Yeah, I do feel that alchemy is still going to be kind of a must-have profession for endgame players, unless you're willing to spend more gold, you know. Going to be interesting to see when using a combo of rank 2-3 with concentration is going to edge out the other methods for profit. I mean, it will from day one. It will from day one, and it probably will stay that way for most of the expansion. It is entirely possible, though, that the demand for a certain item will still be fully saturated by people using concentration and quality 2 materials, which means that that process is still not guaranteed to be profitable all the time. But in that scenario, you just use your concentration on something else. There's so many crafts, because every single craft has like that ability, right? You'll have something. Because what we also know is a lot of people pick up and play with professions at the beginning of an expansion, but an awful lot of people get halfway through and then just never touch them again, which will mean the supply of those top quality stuff will dry out. And this is why there'll be like 2 crafting prices for everything. And your job, should we say, as a crafter, is to find the thing that allows you to convert your concentration into the max profit per day. And that thing that you craft might differ per day. So obviously you specialize aggressively at the beginning. You go super hard at the beginning on one thing, and you will need to throw as much you'll need to throw concentration at that to make it at top quality whilst you're doing that anyway, but everybody will be in the same boat. Then once you've got that one thing maxed, you can then look at specializing into something else, because anytime you craft anything, there's a strong chance you're going to need to throw concentration at it. Even if using let's not forget that you'll need to use concentration and top quality materials for quite some time, until you've got your profession tools in order, until you've got your skill in order, and until you've got enough knowledge points to fill out the right nodes in a tree. So Season 1's going to be fun. I don't know how it's going to exactly look Season 2, Season 3, but at least Season 1 is going to be... It's almost impossible for it to not be profitable for players in Season 1.
Be nice to kobolds!
What the hell? Fucking hate... Oh, there we go. No way we send that down first. Oh, I hate these little mini games. Oh, Lord. That would have to go there. That would have to go there. That would have to go there. Getting all of those in a row is going to be borderline impossible. This one needs to go in that corner. Oh my god, with the... By fluke, not by skill. Woo! Thank God. And you know that's a world quest. You know that's becoming a world quest. This one you just had to fly into them. Yeah. There'll be a weak aura that solves it day 2. If there's going to be a weak aura for it, somebody's already done it. Seven of 12. I'm out of vigor. Okay, done. You happy? Happy. Nice. Ah, where's me pet? No pet, no kill. It's going to be a pain to explain to customers how concentration works, why they need to pay that much for max ranked order. They need to make macro templates for that, I imagine. I absolutely 100% hope that crafters use their brain with this. Now, that's not always something that you can rely on, but, and this is what I suspect will be the case, is crafters will just adopt a very simple rule. Quality 3 mats, or I don't do your order. Like, it's really simple. Like, that is about as simple as you can make it. I need quality 3 mats to make this order. And if you give me quality 3 mats, I can guarantee this quality. No messing, no fuss. You give me quality 2 mats, you don't get the quality 3 I tell you I can make. It's really straightforward in that scenario. And that's why I think you will find that more players will start looking at it from the perspective of, can I do this myself? Because you know, the simple reality is, if you give me quality 2 materials, it's going to cost me substantially more concentration to craft. So much so that I might not even have enough concentration to craft your thing, right? Because when you dip down from quality 3 materials to quality 2, you're sacrificing a huge amount of skill points that you might physically not be able to make up the difference of. So it's up to crafters to literally stand their ground and go, you got to give me quality 3 mats or I can't craft your thing for you. It's quite simple. Oh, but this person said this, this, and this. I don't care. Quality 3 mats or I don't press the button. I can press the button, but you will only get quality 4. Are you happy with that? You know, if you give me quality 2 mats, you get rank 4. If you give me quality 3 mats, you'll get rank 5. Crafters need to keep it simple. And it's definitely the crafter's job to make sure that this is kept simple. Dragonflight was complicated. Inspiration complicated things. Crafters need to make sure that the simplicity is felt by everybody else. The way they do that, simple. Quality 2 mats, I make you rank 4. Quality 3 mats, I make you rank 5. Done. Keep it simple, stupid. The more simple crafters keep it, the more orders they'll be able to fill, the less time they'll have to spend pissing about doing customer service things. People can ask questions, and it's a simple, easy response of that. I don't have, you know, I can't guarantee the quality you want if you give me inferior materials. Buyers don't need to know any more than that. If every crafter's saying the same thing. If every crafter sings off the same song sheet, it will be fine. People will sell concentration though, otherwise it's obsolete for crafters. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's obviously excluding, my little description there is excluding the obvious nature of that if you want quality 5 and I'm having to use concentration, then it will come with, you know, quality 3, you give me quality 3 materials and 10,000 gold and I make you rank 5. If you give me quality 2 materials and 10,000 gold, you'll only get quality 4. You choose, you know? Or you want quality 5 and give me 50,000 gold and I'll supply everything. Like, I don't know what the numbers are, right? But like, crafters really need to lean on this, just making it as simple as possible. The more they do that, the better success they will have. Because a crafter's not going to want to spend most of their concentration crafting gear. This is where I think the War Within is going to be really different to Dragonflight. A lot of players looked at work orders as a way of just printing free gold. They fill an order for somebody and they just recraft it a few times. It doesn't cost them anything particularly. And this is where that mindset of, oh, you just press a button comes from. And crafters naturally undervalued their efforts to the point crafters were like just farming for resource procs, honestly. Your profit came from resource procs on the materials. This time round, if you have to use concentration, you can put a number against that. You can easily put a number against that. And that number will depend on how many other people have the ability to use concentration on that same craft as well. It's a little bit more sophisticated from a crafter's perspective, but it's much more simplistic from somebody looking to buy a piece of gear.
Farewell.
Way more straightforward.
A Shah fellow. Hello. May the stars guide you.
Where do you see your
You'll find me
delve?
wherever the action is. Travel safe.
It's bronze supplies, and you can see his abilities. A new renowned path or something for delves. How and where do we see that? A button? Seen some sort of screenshot for it somewhere. Needs to be on here.
I need a target.
I don't know. Watching loads of YouTube videos seems like crafted gear doesn't make much and all the profits come from consumables like enchants and pots. I would probably go as far as stating that that's likely because a lot of the content creators also are players like myself that don't strictly like work orders. But it is still what I would consider relatively solid advice, that you are way less likely to be making most of your gold by standing, doing work orders for people all day. You will be, and that is because you'll have a lot more luxury to log on, open your profession, see a craft that you can make with a certain amount of concentration that will be profitable, and you make that snap decision of, well, is it worth it to you? If you have 1,000 concentration, do you want to spend all of that concentration and convert it into potentially 5,000 gold? If the answer is yes, you press the button and then you go put them on the auction house. If the answer is no, you move to the next item and, you know, figure out where you can best use your concentration. That's the far more simplistic way to play with professions now, which will mean less people try to stand around in Valdrakken screaming and shouting crafting gear for others, which I think is only a good thing, because I think it's really degenerate gameplay. And even when degenerate gameplay is profitable, that doesn't mean it's fun. Wait, hang on. Those quests genuinely in the Isle of Dawn? Why are these on my map here? We've gone through the rant on the Spaniards yet? All Spaniards are very welcome in here. Cannot deny that they were not only the best team on the night, they were easily the best team in the entire tournament. It would have been a travesty if they didn't win.
Bring back more shiny things. Oh, someone picky.
Whilst I would have loved to have seen it come home, I wasn't stupid enough to assume it was going to. Curious to see just how much concentration we'll have to drop on NPC orders if we're trying to max our knowledge from them. But yeah, this is another thing, right? You're going to have to pick and choose where and what you use your knowledge points on. Or sorry, your concentration on. You might not be in the luxurious position to be able to dump 1,000 concentration into crafting some reagents or a piece of gear or something for somebody. You might always want to be keeping a few hundred concentration about in case that work order comes up that you need to fill that gives you a knowledge point. That's probably a higher priority than filling an order for some random Joe that doesn't want to give you more than 500 gold, you know? Make it so that people who want crafters to make gear for them understand that if you don't, you know, if you don't make it worth my while, I have other options. Have other choice. I can choose to not make this thing for you because you're not making it worth my while. I have a better use for this concentration. If you want me to use it crafting your piece of gear, you got to line my pockets. Worry about rares in a minute. I can't believe the last time I watched your stream was when Shadowlands Legendary's max was rank 4. A few years ago now. None of these things seem to drop whatever it is. Oh, hello. There's a wax pile. What are we doing this? Blast scented smoke out to pacify bees and irritate mites, abandoning their bee hosts. so many stuff I've found that's skinnable is like little scrappy things that don't actually reward any skin. I've not really had much luck with skinning so far. Really hoping it's well, I think skinning feels a lot more like it's going to be you go and do some skinning at a spot that is known to be good for skinning, rather than every beast just gives you lots of leather. It might be a more active decision to mean that you have to go out of your way to actually farm leather this time around. Now, that only lasts for as long as it takes people to find the spots, though. So it's still not a perfect solution. I'm going to press this button, not because I didn't actually pay attention to what the button does. Aha! Is that I should press the button more often, apparently. Oh my god!
I don't have a target.
Full of waxy chunks. Oh no, pet's dead.
Need a target. I don't have a target.
Enough of these now? Probably 6. Yeah, this should be enough. 24. What do we need now? Wax. Was able to make 600k speed leveling and farming Revendreth stuff when Shadowlands launched. Did Dragonflight have something like that for gatherers? Do you think the War Within would as well? It sounds very much like you haven't played Dragonflight at all.
I need to target something first.
Which is time to probably point out that an awful lot has changed. Profession revamp in that case was significant. Anything prior to that doesn't really apply. Oh, my pet's dead again.
I need a target. I don't have a target.
Stopped after day one. I was burnt out just doing the professions, way too confusing. Well, I'll give you the bad news straight then. The War Within is exactly the same. In that regard, it's exactly the same. If you didn't like Dragonflight's crafting profession, you're unlikely to like the War Within's, as it's fundamentally the same. They have simplified some aspects of it, but fundamentally it's the same. There's a little bit more restriction in place from individual crafters being able to just like dominate markets, which should make it a touch fairer for everybody involved. They've now finally implemented some catch-up system. Not that we know the full details of it yet, but there's at least some catch-up system. Knowledge points if you either start late or fall behind. But if you didn't like Dragonflight, I'll tell it to you straight. You're not going to like the war with him. It's actually nice. Crafting becomes more than pressing one button. But so yeah, this is it. I have to agree. I kind of some people call it complexity. I like to call it depth. That there's actually so much more to the professions now that it actually does feel like you're making a gameplay choice to play with the professions. Now, true, if you don't like it, you might not want to do it, but on the flip side, I don't like Mythic Plus, so I don't do it. But I also then don't expect to have high-level gear that Mythic Plus offers, for example. You kind of gotta... Where's my corpse? My corpse is clearly not here. That is my corpse. Hello? Why can't I reset my corpse? Dead? Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Fully dead. Dragonflight was the first expansion I played through completely. Never played another one like that, and it was because of professions. There was definitely lots to keep you busy, let's put it that way. Would I define myself as a solo player? Yeah, pretty heavily. I don't object to doing group content. It's not the group content, it's not the playing with others that's the problem. Like, Mythic Plus for me is, I really despise the forced rush of Mythic Plus. The timer aspect is not so much of a thing for me. I very much enjoy dungeons. I'd more than happily spend half my day playing through dungeons. But the must go faster, must do this within a time limit side of it, it's not for me. And then in turn, repeating it for the 12th time is also not really a thing for me. With a affix in it that's going to slightly make it different. Nah, it didn't get me. It doesn't interest me. Some people love it. I don't. But it's the same logic. I like playing and tinkering with professions all day. Leveling up characters specifically for that goal. And that I understand that other people don't get or enjoy, so much of a muchness. And the only downside for me of raids historically was, I mean, it's different now because this is my job. But historically, my problem with raids was I couldn't commit to doing the same thing at the same time every week. Now I kind of could, I just sort of choose not to, and I don't really have any excuse for not doing it. But I've just not raided for so long that it would take quite a lot of time and effort to get back into raiding, and I'm happy not to. Divert the pollen to the bees. Have some pollen. Have some pollen. Pollen. Four. 5. One more. Oh, wait, I lost the pollen buff. Ah, give me the pollen buff back. Give me a flower. Flower. I have to click it. Okay. Already pollinated. About you. Here we go. Just click for me. The affix equivalent for us is like high commissions, low commissions, some mats, no mats. Yeah, you might very occasionally find somebody that's willing to line your pockets to a worthwhile degree. Is there any worth doing all the quests in each of the zones? Oh, absolutely. You are most definitely going to want to lore master very quickly. As most of the quests are going to push you towards your renown levels. As a crafter, you're going to want renown 12, if not renown 14, with all of the factions pretty quickly if you can. So yeah, every quest in every zone is going to be quite high on your priority list. On top of that, doing whatever the optimal rep grind is. Could quite easily be killing rares every day in every zone. A handful of rares that seem to give reputation every day. That might be on your list. This is why I'm not sure what approach I want to take. I'm not sure if I want to level a bunch of characters first and go super hardcore into professions, or whether I just want to, you know, get a couple of characters to ding 80 and then hyper focus doing every quest in every zone to maximize rep. I'm still not totally sure which direction I'd rather go. What does Janky want? What does he want me to do now? No, Wick Points, that's a world quest. Shit, what did he say? Janky Candles? Back down to the ringing dick, apparently. Yeah, twice a week for reset for world quests. That's also going to be the same for your NPC work orders as well. Sorry, your patron orders. Call them by their right name.
Kobolds are vandalizing and pillaging morning
Your patron orders will refresh with
stop them in
with work orders, with world quests as well, apparently. Right, I've got to take a quick bathroom break, so I'll use the light point here. Lie me back downstairs. Right, quick ad break, boys and girls. I'll be back in 2. Okay. Hey, we're nearly level 80, look. Nearly dinged level 80. This character still feels pretty broken in terms of the fact that I just don't have a campaign on this dude for some... Oh, now I've got the campaign back. Continue the campaign by accepting the quest Surface Bound in Ashkahet. How and why did that happen then? How was I stun locked from having any campaign progress? Kind of odd.
Offering amenities. Make your choice.
I couldn't pick up that quest when you go there. Oh.
Satisfied.
Oh. Yeah, this is kind of a problem. I think this character's this character's only a build or two old, but I think something somewhere has changed which has broken things. So this is why you gotta level a new character every time they release a new build, pretty much.
Always another task.
Which makes any significant long-term testing very time-consuming. Which is why realistically, the only reason I'm pushing this dude to 80, so that when a new build lands tomorrow, I'll be able to then level a new character yet even faster. Kind of silly that it works that way, but it does. Who are we talking to here?
Your next task, purchase something.
You don't look busy enough.
The surprising thing for me is none of these quests seem to be new quests. These are all quests I've done on another character before. And so what I think has probably happened is that Blizzard has changed the prerequisites for a whole bunch of the quests. Early beta testing was probably that just all of the quests were available. Now they've tightened things up so that you must do this quest in this chain and then this quest in this chain. And you don't get access to certain quests. And if your character's from an old build that has access to quests that you now shouldn't really technically have access to, because they're in a different quest chain or got different prerequisites, it's breaking characters left, right, and center. But if you were to make a brand new character, wouldn't have any of these problems, I don't think. Do you know yet if the Jewel Crafting Ring recipe will only drop 4 Jewel Crafters from the event or not? No, no clue. No idea. There's also a good chance these quests, these recipes that drop from events will be auction houseable as well. So don't forget that that's an option. This buff, Warband Mentored Leveling, stacks up to 5 times and increases by 1 rank every time you ding 80. So by the time you've got 5 characters at level 80, you'll be leveling 25% faster. Which is a nice little luxury from the word go. Especially for those who like to play with a lot of professions and a lot of characters and a lot of alts.
It's not junk, it's treasure. Someone picky.
Have you purchased all you need?
Condolences about England. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. Our luck had to run out sometime. Dear Lord.
Bring back more shiny things.
What are we doing in here? Not sure. Assist Foreman Grimes, Janky, and Granny Scribbles. I need to help Janky. What was I doing for him? Or here? What was I actually doing? Got parts.
Bring back more
Need something to do? If that is all.
Why do you think Blizzard now allows us to level up easier a lot of characters?
The burden is mine.
Well, there's the common argument that one of the reasons why leveling characters has been, well, let's be real, every single expansion we've had for the last 10 years has made leveling faster and then faster and then faster and then faster. Though it progressively gets faster anyway. But even more so these days, the Blizzard don't really feel as if they need to lock you down anywhere near as aggressively. They are more happy with letting you play the game at your own pace because they now have this ecosystem. We spoke about this a lot on Friday. Blizzard used to, or they used to have World of Warcraft. And that was it. Right, they used to have World of Warcraft retail. That it wasn't even, you didn't have the retail tag. It was just World of Warcraft. That's all they had. And so they wanted you to continuously have 30 days worth of something to do in World of Warcraft to justify the monthly subscription, to keep people playing. Now they don't really need that. They don't particularly need that for the fact that if you do everything you want to do in retail, you can go play Classic. If you do what you need to do in Classic or you don't want to play Classic, you've got Season of Discovery. If you don't want to do Season of Discovery, you know, you see how they sort of ping-pong you around and you can do different things if you wish. This is sort of the ecosystem that Blizzard has with this World of Warcraft as a franchise now. And that's why one subscription covers all of these game modes. And it means they can be more flexible. It means they don't have to make leveling take so goddamn long. One of the reasons they made it take so goddamn long was to keep you busy. So, in theory, at least, it's because they have significantly more to offer now that they don't have to be quite so grindy or, you know, slow things down unnecessarily. They would like to advertise it as that they are now more willing to respect the player's time. Because of that, they are the good guys, when realistically it was just them doing everything they could to keep you busy previously. Now, obviously, not everybody does play Classic, Season of Discovery. But even things like Plunderstorm and Remix, you know, there are optional game modes now within the World of Warcraft franchise. And you can do you can go and play any of them if you have your subscription. Your subscription will get you access to any of these things. And so, yeah, now that they quite simply have more to offer in more different locations, they don't need to be quite so grindy or restrictive in any single one.
Look, I'm not dead yet.
Intruders, the beasts inside.
Why are all these creatures here? What happened?
This is one of your books, lad. Watch your step.
Oh, I need to remember I'm at like level 79. This means I'm about as weak as I can possibly be. Not to overpull. Like I clearly have just done. These are things that you would expect to get something from. Unusable fragments 99 times out of 100 when skinning is like, I don't know. Feels a lot more like skinning is something that you are going to be target farming rather than just passively getting stuff from. The entire leveling process so far, admittedly, all we've done is do the Isle of Dawn and the Ringing Deeps, but we've mostly been lore mastering it. I've been skinning everything I can skin as I go along. Has net me a grand total of like nothing. Grand total of basically nothing in materials.
This looks like the foreman's office. But where's the foreman? Make sure to take notes.
Have I got any significant upgrade I just haven't spotted? 545, 525, 541, 460 chest piece. Ouch. 506, 506, 545. 528, no equivalents. 483. Wow, that's still the best I've got. 538. 460 ring. Better. Okay.
Even now I'm bound to serving Azeroth. Sometimes destiny whispers, sometimes she shouts.
Oh, hello. Even without all of the additional options outside of retail itself, even within it's a player has so many different options on where to spend their time. Oh, it's true, yeah. Level up to 60, 70, 80 over the course of a few months, and then once you're at max, you're doing dungeons, raiding once, twice a week, doing PvP or open world farming. Yeah, their offering is just much better these days. Much, much, much better. We have more consistent patch cycle. We have alternative game modes to keep keep ourselves busy, even if there's not so much to keep ourselves busy with, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's just, to put it simply, there is a lot more to do if you wish to do it. I think is a definite advantage.
Fewer workers, it would seem. Is it because the Earthen are shutting down?
Shutting down? Or disappearing? Or changing? These mugs are still full, and the drinks look fresh. But there's no one around. I think people were here recently.
I would point out lore mastering to level is not particularly quick though, mind. Zerging the campaign is still clearly much, much, much faster. Although that said, it's seemingly tuned at the moment that doing nothing but the campaign is going to be problematic because you'll ding like 78 and have nowhere to go.
Keep looking.
Down here. Well, yeah, I would point out with skinning that one thing I haven't done is farm up or spend any knowledge points yet, which could change things dramatically. And it could just be that the progression of profession still hasn't been quite balanced out right, because they've openly said that they're making getting quality 3 stuff much more difficult this time round. They want quality 3 materials to be rarer and scarcer and more difficult to farm for. But what that probably means is they've taken the whole chunk of quality and just moved it up. But what they haven't done is pulled quality 1 and 2 back down, so at least you get something, which is what I think they probably should do.
A lot of tools
It's fine to make quality 3 difficult, but it's not great if you don't get anything ever. You want at least something to be looted.
We should see if anyone's in there. Did you hear something, Brenda?
It's changing. It's changing.
What was that?
It came from that building.
How much time to complete the campaign? I think most people will do it in like 6 hours or something. I don't think campaign alone is going to take people particularly long. I would kind of half suggest doing the campaign, but at the same time doing any delve that you come across as well. As delves are going to be something that you're absolutely definitely going to want to be doing anyway. You might as well be getting some experience with Bronzebeard as you're leveling, and that extra experience you get is going to be super helpful, making sure that you definitely ding level 80 by just doing the campaign. You're going to want to go and do every quest at some point anyway for the rep, but you don't necessarily need to be doing that at the same time as leveling. Plus, technically, doing it whilst you're leveling is meaning that you're doing it whilst you're at your weakest, so it'll also, in theory, take the longest. But that's not necessarily a guaranteed. That's exactly how it works. This is only my second character that I've leveled though on the beta, so my experience is still quite limited.
I need to target something first.
Need to be going over here for some reason. Let's head over here anyway. Kill things while we go. Pet do pet things. Hello.
I need to target something first.
Just watch your how to sell rank 5 and 6 legendaries. I kind of regret I stopped playing after I made 55 million. 9.1 cloth was selling for 100k to 500k. Usually it wasn't even 10k. Legendaries was so broken. So broken. It'll never happen again. And it shouldn't happen again, to be fair. It was super easy to monopolize. Once you had it monopolized, you would often also find that you could keep other people out, only reinforcing your monopoly. It wasn't great for the game generally. It was great for the handful of people that made stinky amounts of gold off it though.
I have been altered, perhaps even chosen.
There's a cache of resources nearby. Find it before you have to fight over it.
Where the flipping hell are these? There is one. I swear this thing blinks at me from time to time. Maybe it doesn't. Oh, what we've got here. I liked it, I won't deny. Oh yeah, I think lots of people did. I just know it wasn't particularly fair. Now, I know fairness isn't something that always needs to be apparent,
Change is coming,
but
walkers. Hordes
in a
of
game where they
storms
also
stir
sell
within the
gold
Hall of Awakening.
and they make the currency remarkably valuable to most
J-Lock
players,
could be next.
having an
Barricade
extremely
your doors,
unfair
but be
system
not
in
afraid.
acquiring it
We will press on.
is also sort of problematic. Why it'll never happen again.
Can you hear it? The ringing. The ringing. It returns. The music
Just need to
is
kill
eternal.
things.
The itching. I can taste the sounds.
Whoa, what's going on here? Pets do pet things. Holy shit. $16, $17, $18. That should be everybody. Oh, this is potentially going to ding us level 80, look. Going to be very close. Depending on how much experience this quest gives. Oh, pet's dead. Whoops. Oh, so close. Close but no cigar. What's more worth? Ah, does it?
No rest for we heroes, eh, champion?
Ah, I knew this thing twinkled at me for some reason.
The ringing will lock away.
Boom! Second level 80.
For darkest
Hey.
memory.
Nice. That realistically was the only reason I actually wanted to get that finished.
Speaker. Ringing. Don't
Now all of a sudden I have the important quest. Level up campaign skip. Unlocks the option for this character to skip the level up campaign and begin the max level campaign by speaking with Bronzebeard. Ah. Now, that's lovely, but I've not had the basic campaign to do this entire time anyway. So, this is an example of why this character's been scuffed. Is it a good patch to make gold, you think? Oh my lord, patch 11.0 is going to be incredible for gold making. Absolutely incredible.
Inquiring minds just got to know.
Level up campaign skip. Complete.
Truth is out there. The answers are here. I can
I'd like to join the reinforcement. Skip the level up campaign. I still have work to do. Continue the level up campaign. I'll join the reinforcements. Skip the level up campaign and begin the max level campaign. What happens if I just continue the level up? You can speak to Bran again to change your decision.
don't do anything.
Does it give me the regular campaign back? The War Within. This looks like... I don't know. On this dude, let's just skip it then.
Are within our grasp. Keep your eyes on the horizon.
Continue the campaign by accepting the quest. The fleet arrives in the Isle of Dawn. Okay. Now we seem to have got to a point where it's unbroken.
Travel safe.
Beta do beta things, clearly. Alright, cool. Well, this character was mostly for testing. I wanted another character at level 80 to see how it felt, and it got scuffed halfway. So we're technically going to need to level another character now to get like a good impression. But this dude can be just my skinner now. It's skinning level 100, I think, already. Yeah. Skinning level 100. I have some points to spend. I'm tempted to use this character just to test out the bait side of things. Technically unlock these, I suppose, can't we? That could potentially be one of the reasons why we weren't gaining stuff. Deafness while skinning. Burring. I also am obviously not going to have tools or anything, which is also a problem, but... Improve your skinning efficiency. I have no points. Because there's like no first time skin bonuses or anything to obtain. You entirely get your skinning knowledge via Toughen Tempest Hide, which seems to be a weekly thing. And obviously treasures to begin with as one time. Plus some rep stuff here, there and everywhere. There's a little bit more to investigate. Definitely a little bit more to investigate. I'm going to leave it there for today though, boys and girls. I started the stream by mentioning that off the back of yesterday, I'm still half hungover. I'm absolutely starving. I need to go get some proper food in me. Football, kind of like drinking at midnight on a Sunday was probably not a great idea for a productive week, or at least a productive Monday. But we got this dude to 80. We got some leveling done. We got some progress made. We'll be back tomorrow. The plan of action for tomorrow is not decided yet, although it might be to pick just another profession and deep dive it like we did with enchanting on Friday, for example. Spend a bunch of time just looking at it, learning stuff, trying out a few different builds, seeing how progress is made. What profession we choose, not totally decided. Or alternatively, I'm very tempted to spend some time in delves. I might designate a stream just to like play with delves, get a higher level character, push through some delves and see how that works. Not sure yet, not sure. Luckily, I still feel like we've got plenty of time, which is good. But thanks all for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed. Come say hi on the Discord if you're not there already. Hit that follow button if you're on Team Twitch, that subscribe button if you're on Team YouTube. And have yourselves a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Peace.